Are you thinking of a leopard gecko, or have you already got one and want to know how long it could live for? In this episode we're going through just that, and also tips on how to make their life longer. I'm David, this is Hank, welcome to DJL Exotics. Leopard geckos are often stated to be the best beginner reptile, and there's no argument from me. They are tolerant of beginner mistakes, easy to care for, easy to feed, and they are fantastic with owners. They will often learn your routines and adjust to them, becoming very interactive with you, making them an absolute fantastic pet for children and adults alike, and for those who have never had a reptile before. However, one thing that is often not discussed is how long they can live for, and it may surprise you. In captivity, the average age for a male is 15 and the average age for a female is 14. Now this is quite a long commitment for many people who might be used to a hamster that can only live for up to 3 years. However, it doesn't quite tell you the entire story. With the right care and next level kind of requirements being given to them, they can actually live for up to 28 years, which is a massive difference between their average and their maximum lifespan. So what can help make that difference? Well, the first thing is actually all about making sure that those basic care requirements are being met. So you're talking about an enclosure which is 3 or 4 foot big, the hot end being at an ambient temperature of around about 32, with a hot spot that could be about 34, and that cool end which is in the mid-20s. You're also looking to ensure that they have that mist box, those 2 highs, one at the warm end, one at the cold end, and plenty of decorations and engagement. Once you have the basics settled, then you can start looking at some of the other aspects. However, before we get into that, why don't we discuss one of the things that can stop your gecko from living for a long time before you've even bought it, and that's genetics. Now, leopard geckos come in many different morphs. The Max Snow, Tangerine, the Eclipse, they're all common morphs you can find. However, there are a few morphs which actually lead to a shorter lifespan. One of the most common one of these is the Lemon Frost. The Lemon Frost is highly known for causing tumours within leopard geckos within the first 6 years, maybe lucky up to 8 years. These tumours are lethal and will eventually lead to the gecko's premature death. Other morphs that you might have problems with is white and yellow, where they can have white and yellow syndrome, and you might also have problems with super max snows, where sometimes they struggle to feed. They either overeat or they undereat, and that can be very problematic for those who aren't used to leopard geckos. One other gene that you might struggle with is the enigma, where they do get enigma syndrome, and this causes a neurological imbalance where they can actually struggle to actually walk eventually. However, going past that, let's go on to care, where you can actually make a true difference to your leopard gecko's life expectancy. And let's start with making sure that they have enough mental enrichment inside their enclosure. Leopard geckos spend a lot of their time during the day maybe asleep, but during the dawn and dusk they do like to explore their environment, and you can make that very exciting for them by having lots of decorations such as cork bark, rocks, ledges, plastic plants and other environmental enrichment that they can go and explore. And swapping this over every so often with other items can actually make it really fun for them, and it gives them that mental stimulation which allows them to constantly be exploring and showing natural behaviours which make them really happy at the end of the day. The other thing that you can do is give them plenty of exercise with handling, such as what I'm doing here with Hank, just letting him go in between my hands, and this is both stimulating for them because they can move around a lot and explore, but it gives them that exercise so they can burn off energy. The next thing I would recommend is also making sure that their diet is not standard. If you're feeding your leopard gecko just mealworms or crickets, this can get very boring very quickly. What I really recommend is making sure that you're giving them a mixed diet, so you can have a mixture of mealworms, crickets, locusts, roaches as long as they've just freshly shed. You could also use isopods. There are other items that I would not include within their diet, so I would not feed them waxworms. Waxworms are mostly fat and they carry very limited nutritional value, and leopard geckos can get addicted to them. Therefore, this is actually something that might shorten the lifespan of your leopard gecko, making them more fat with less nutrients. In addition to that feeding, you must make sure that you're constantly giving them the right nutritional supplements. So remembering that calcium D3, as well as vitamin A and other vitamins are used in that powder which is dusted onto the prey item. Shedding is another element that you can actually help with your leopard gecko's life. Now these guys do come from rather dry environments where it's not a desert, but it's more of an arid location. Now this is okay to have for the majority of the environment, but they do have certain aspects in their natural environment where it gets quite moist, and they use this for helping them to shed. So the simplest way to do that is actually to create a mist hide inside their enclosure. Now this can be something as simple as a yogurt pot with a hole cut in the top and moss and soil inside of that, which you wet regularly, put on the hot side, and it creates a humid kind of environment within an enclosed area which they can sit in and helps with shedding. Now this is very important because if these guys get any stuck shed on their toes or on their tail, it can often constrict those elements and they can lose their toes, they can lose parts of their tail, and it can actually become an open wound which can lead to infection and being ill. Another important thing about making sure that you're looking after these guys is to regularly weigh them. So get a set of kitchen scales which can register grams, and on a monthly basis give them a weight. You're looking for a weight change of 10%, signifies that something might be wrong with your gecko and you might need to take it to a vet. However, a weight gain of 5% or less is just a normal natural fluctuation that they have. Often during winter, sometimes these guys will go off food and it can cause some issues. So a leopard gecko is a long-term commitment. You are looking for a commitment that is at least 14 or 15 years, but it could be well into the 20s. And that's something to really think about before getting your leopard gecko. If you've got a leopard gecko, let us know in the comments how old it is. Other than that, please like and subscribe to the channel, and see you on the next video. Bye for now.